Hey, what's going on? Ryan here with Intersection Records, talking about the brand new Roger Waters Dark Side of the Moon redo. I thought maybe I wouldn't review this record, and then I listened to it. I'd heard the first single, Breathe, a month ago or so, and liked it. And we're going to talk track by track. And I came to the conclusion, and I know that Roger Waters is polarizing in the media. He's very opinionated. Some people call him, things like anti-Semite and racist and these things. And he's, I recently did a show how he told some audience members at one of his concerts to F off. He's a complicated guy. And Dark Side of the Moon is a masterpiece and one of the best rock albums in the history of rock. And how does he have the right to redo that when it's a classic and there's nothing that can be improved on, right? And then I started listening to the record and I realized that this is a record that came out in 1973 and we've kind of owned it for 50 years, but we don't really own it, do we? And Roger Waters wrote every single lyric on the album and much of the music. And we're going to talk about that. There's writing contributions by Richard Wright on a couple songs in their entirety musically. There's Gilmour, of course, wrote some stuff, and some things that are credited to Nick Mason and, of course, Roger Waters. We're going to get into this. This is the Dark Side of the Moon redo, and you can see the prism in the eye of this dog or whatever we're talking about here. This is just a print of you can see it right there, okay? This thing came out on October 6, 2023, and I'm glad that I've taken the time to go through this, and this is a nice companion piece, okay? We have a classic record. We now have this. There's lots of spoken word over this. This is produced by Gus Seifert and Roger Waters. Gus plays bass on this record. He also does backing vocals on this record. Joey Waronker plays drums. Johnny Shepard on organ and piano. Jonathan Wilson on guitar. And there's some other folks that we're going to highlight here. The album, and there's a lot of spoken word, okay? There's a whole nother story in this record. Is it a story about a man on his deathbed? Is it a story about a man that's already died? Is it a story about the battle of good and evil that we go throughout our whole lives? I don't know. Just like the Dark Side of the Moon, we don't know. It's open for interpretation. What's here never seemed fake and contrived to me, never seemed forced. Speak to Me is the first song, and it opens up with the heartbeat. And Waters says in a very low voice, the memories of a man in his old age are the deeds of a man in his prime. You shuffle in the gloom of the sick room and talk to yourself as you die. Life is a short, warm moment, and death is a long, cold rest. You get your chance to try in the twinkling of an eye, 80 years with luck, or even less. So all aboard for the American tour, and maybe you'll make it to the top. But mind how you go, and I can tell you, because I know, you may find it hard to get off. Then Breathe in the Air starts. Now, the music over Speak to Me is this ominous. You got the heartbeat. You got this ominous tone. You're immediately kind of hooked in, or I was. Some edgy, gloomy, acoustic guitar over Hammond. Again, Roger Waters has spoken word, extra lyrics in this album, plus he wrote all the lyrics to the original album. And then Breathe in the Air, which is a song musically written by Gilmore and Wright, Richard Wright and Dave Gilmore. To start that song off, he says, "You are the angel of death, and I am the dead man's son. He was buried like a mole in a foxhole, and everyone still on the run." Very airy, very poignant. Then he sings the song "Breathe in the Air." You know, don't be afraid to care. Very good. Then he comes back with some spoken word for "On the Run," which is an instrumental. "Today I woke from a dream. It was a revelation. It began with some standard bullshit, a fight with evil." You know, again, he's awoken from a dream. He's having a confrontation with good and evil. And then we go to another long passage where he's talking about cloaked, hooded men and this very ominous situation where it seems like they're completely against all odds and they're going to be defeated. And then suddenly there's a shift and some sort of savior comes in. It's kind of, I like this record. And then we have Time. The voice, and Time starts off, "The voice had been there all along. It was hidden in the stones of the river, hidden in the books, hidden in plain sight. It was the voice of reason." And then we have Time played over Hammond organs and drums, kind of Take Me to Church type organ. Richard Wright writes the lyrics to the next song, which is "The Great Gig in the Sky." Now, "The Great Gig in the Sky" on the original album has the fantastic vocals from the backing singers, the female backing singers. Robert Walter plays organ on this song. And it starts off with a letter. "Dear Mr. Waters, Don asked me to let you know that he is in hospital now. He has been diagnosed with a cancer in his sinus. He also asked me to tell everyone that he is not answering any letters. Best to you, Don's assistant, Kendall." And there's birds chirping. And then Waters says, then he wrote to Kendall. So he then writes a follow-up letter to Kendall. I guess it's Waters writing a letter to Kendall. And I kind of think maybe the main meaning of the album is in that letter. Again, I haven't dissected this. Again, this is not going to be easy. And when I said that never seems contrived or forced, I don't know how long this took him to write. I don't know if he's been working on this for years. I don't know if this is mishmash poems that he's done over the course of his life. If it's something that he just put together just for this in the last year or two, boy, it's pretty genius. So Money is next, right? He sings part of the song Money, pretty stark voice, deep spoken voice, darker than the original, sinister. He sings it all the way up to "Don't give me any of that good goody bullshit," and then he says, "Welcome to hell. I'm sorry, I'll read that again. Welcome to the rooftops." He laughs. Then he says, "I'm sorry, I'll read that again. Welcome to the starlight room. I'm sorry, I'll read that again. Welcome to the underworld." And it goes on from there, and then he finally does resume the song all the way to the end. Again, darker tones than Money, which is kind of a fun rock song off the original, sung by David Gilmour. Us and Them is next. It's played fully with no additional lyrics by Waters. Fairly true to the original. Drums are way up front. Gabe Knoll has a string arrangement on it. Any Color You Like is the next song. This is a song that Roger plays bass on. To what I've been reading, it's the only song that Roger plays an instrument on. This is a drum, bass, and organ song. Via Mardot plays theremin. I'm pretty sure I hear theremin, and I did some research that not only does Gabe Knoll have strings on it, but there's some theremin by Via Mardot. And there's some lyrics that he has, again, composed for this song. It's hard to understand, bombarded as we are by hot words, like molecules in an electron microscope, battered from pillar to post. Trade, men in suits, and this is over some jazzy, swaggery swing, almost jazz music, just very light though. Again, the song is Any Color You Like, so think of the themes in that musically. Trade, men in suits, tactics and strategies, barter in the time of love, soft skin, a CAT scan slice of life, a flag, any color you like, blue and yellow, pink, red, black, rainbow. Yeah, rainbow. You know, it's again over some jazzy stuff. Brain Damage is next, of course, and he does all of over organs, against strings, against theremin, and then he says, "Why don't we re-record Dark Side of the Moon?" He laughs, and then he says, "He's gone mad." And then, of course, we have a very sparse Eclipse. And Gus Seifert, again, who plays bass on a lot of this record, who co-produces the record, he is going to double, but almost in like a Beatles-esque vocal. What Roger Waters is saying, just in a very monotonic, low, all that you touch, and all that you see, and all that you taste, and all you feel, and all that you love, and all that you hate, and all you distrust, and all you save, and all that you give, and all that you deal, and all that you buy, beg, borrow, and steal, and all you create, and all you destroy, and all that you do, and all you say, and all that you eat, and everyone you meet, and all that you slight, and everyone you fight, and all that is now, and all that is gone, and all that's to come, and everything under the sun is in tune, but the sun is eclipsed by the moon. So, and again, he's speaking that with Gus not doing quite what the girls do in the original, but sings almost in a Beatles-esque. And at the very end, Roger says, "I'll tell you one thing, Jerry, me old mucker. It's not all dark, is it? ? Now, Jerry, in the original album, at the very, very end of Eclipse, Jerry O'Driscoll, who was the doorman at Abbey Road Studios, this was recorded, the original album was recorded at Abbey Road, where the Beatles, of course, did their stuff. At the very end, and Waters picked him out because he had a thick Irish accent, and there was lots of random voices on that album. But Jerry O'Driscoll, at the end of the original Dark Side, said, "There is no dark side of the moon, really. Matter of fact, it's all dark." And on the end of this album, Roger Waters says, "I'll tell you one thing, Jerry, me old mucka. It's not all dark, is it?" This is a great record. My rating system is this. Again, check out my channel, subscribe to my channel if you like this stuff. 5 is a classic, 4 is great, 3 is good, 2 is not good, and 1 is bad. This is a companion piece that can be set alongside the original. I think it's worthy I think it's really good. I can't give it a 5 because I've never given a 5 out. I am going to give it a 4.5. This is better than great. It's not perfect, but it's one of the best records I've heard this year. I'm sorry to say that. I don't know. I haven't watched any other reviews. I love it. Dark Side of the Moon redo by Roger Waters. Check it out. I think it's fantastic. I've listened to it on a Saturday night, kind of partying. I've listened to it on a Sunday morning. I've listened to it in my car. I've been surprised every time, and even the spoken word stuff, I almost memorized some of it. It's incredible. Check this out. Check out my channel. Peace out. See ya.